So moving on to a different subject, reshoots. I know reshoots happen often with TV shows and feature films. It's sort of a two-part question. First off, do you ever get called back to, handle the reshoots as an assistant director? And secondly, when the producers or whomever enters the editing room and they take a look at all the coverage, do you ever get blamed for not having the coverage needed to move the show forward?
The second part first. I don't know.
So
because I'm not in there in post.
They don't tell you.
When I've done movies, I've been in the room and I'll go to the edit room and I'll watch the dailies. And because I want to hear. I want to know because I want to see how did it work? What didn't work? How do we improve it? And I want to be involved. I also want to get the notes because if they're saying things that are going to affect me, I'd like to hear it as early in the process as possible. In regards to reshoots, I just did a TV series where we shot 10. They're going to air those 10, and then the 10 hopefully will then get it picked up for 90. It's a kind of a new format of production called 1090.
Okay.
They shot the 10, and then they decided to do reshoots, and they called me to do the reshoots, and I couldn't do them. I scheduled them, but I couldn't do I wasn't available because I'm on the show that I'm on now. And it's happened in the past. Sometimes I've done the reshoots. And it's always funky because you're going back to a set where something else happened and somebody said, well, we'll just shoot the part where it was just your chair. We won't shoot the guy in this chair. So they hire a guy to look like the back of his head and they do this shot from over here, dirty over.
Yeah.
And now you're acting against somebody who isn't the person and it's always a little unusual. So it depends on the extent of the reshoot or additional photography. And sometimes they just go, you know what? We tested the show and we wrote this character that sucks. Sorry. And they'll take the character out. Many movies have stories of actors that just got cut out of films.
Yeah.
So, it's funny that you mentioned the reshoots because that just happened. So.
Well, I was clearly thinking.
Yes, you were. Very prescient of you.
So how do you deal with someone on set? You're hopefully generally working with professional crew. Have you ever, knock on wood, have you ever encountered someone that isn't living up to their tasks or isn't fulfilling the position as it should be? And how would you go about dealing with something like that?
I think you have to assume that everybody coming to work is going to try to do their best. I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Now, does that mean that they didn't have a bad day, they're having an argument with the wife or husband, they weren't late in traffic, they're just depressed? I don't know what's going on in their life. I've worked with people that have problems in their personal life. But I try to, on a personal level, go deal with them. And it's not like, you better. But I say, hey, dude, what's going on? Talk to me. I need to, because I need this from you. And how do I help you do that? My job is best described as, and I'm an enabler. If I succeed, even with the weakest of directors, the lamest of writers, the worst script, but if that show becomes successful, I'm going to work just as hard and maybe harder than if I had really competent people around me. I am going to work harder. And I've now enabled people who don't know what they're doing to do it again, which is sort of counterintuitive. But you're hiring somebody because their job is to get you to the other side. Our job is to get you across the river, over the mountain, whatever the analogy you want to do. Some people make military analogies. We're going to take that beachhead. It's not what we do.
Yeah.
So I try to find, when I find somebody who's deficient, to help them the most that I possibly can, to work with the other departments to supplement, because I don't know initially who hired them. For example, I could walk into my production manager's office and say, hey, that production designer's got his head up his butt side. Not realizing that's his best friend.
Yeah.
Now I've done myself a disservice.
Yeah.
You've got to be very careful about where people came from because you don't know on day 2 or day 3 of a show the whole story. I don't know if you were so one of the first questions I'll always buffer myself with is, the production manager, so the production designer's having some moments. How do we know him? Is he a friend of the family? Where did he come from? Because now what he's going to hear from me is, okay, there's an issue. Greg's being very delicate in how he's proposing solving it. He's not blaming anybody, but what he's saying is let me know, how do we deal with the problem in such a way that we keep everything moving forward. You don't want to replace whole departments. That doesn't do anybody any good, because now you've got that transition period. So now one episode is going to suffer.
Right.
Or, you always hear stories about this famous director fired his whole cast in week 3. Trust me, that was heartache on that person. Nobody gets up, except maybe a few famous directors that will go named, that says, I got to fire somebody today. That's not how I personally work.
Yeah.
My job is I assume everybody's got a family, a mortgage, kids, whatever, right? And I want to go and embrace the job from a standpoint of we're the lucky people.
Right.
And as such, let's have fun. And have fun by working hard and feeling like we did something of value today. Otherwise, what did we do? Oh, look, it's a shiny bottle, buy it. Who cares? I'm going to work the same on that job as I am as if I was working with a very famous actor on the beach, riding on a horse with a crane and a helicopter. Same effort. One may be easier, but I'm still going to do that. So I expect the same from my departments. When they don't deliver, I have to deal with them, and I start by talking to the person, then the department head, from the department head to my boss, and then if the problem isn't solved, I say, look, we need to make a decision. But there is a process. And each union and guild also has a process of replacing people. You got to know those rules as well.